Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak to transportation professionals on this show, as well as my twice-a-week long-form podcast, because I want to talk to the individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve, so you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. What is up, everybody? It is Friday. That is right. Bill McIntyre, good morning, everyone. He says happy Friday. He's coming in hot over on YouTube. It is Friday. It is a happy Friday. What a week. It's been a great week overall. Lots of stuff happening in the market and business development, everything else, and things are definitely day by day, as they say out there. Corey Buchan, what is up? TGIF, he says, coming in over on YouTube. Friday we released a new episode this morning. I don't know what is going on not YouTube, but I think it is iTunes. iTunes, for some reason. The latest episode with Will Jenkins, which got released this morning, for some reason, iTunes is not updating, and it hasn't posted up there yet, but it's available on Spotify right now. So I don't know what there's just obviously an error with the RSS feed out there, which is the hosting site that I use to post up all my episodes on. And so it is available on Spotify, but it has not became available on iTunes yet for whatever reason. I don't know what technical difficulties they are going through over there, but check that out, you guys. Will's got a great story, right? He's got a good story in the industry, coming in, building up, being a co-founder at Molo, and going through that acquisition and, selling that and, and then exiting and then going out now and starting starting with Journey here, which they do recruiting inside of the transportation industry. And it was a fascinating conversation. And, there was it was good to, have some good dialogue with them. And we didn't agree on one thing in there about, developing business and everything, which is fine. I enjoy having healthy conversations with people. And it was a great conversation overall. I think he's got something really good going over at Journey and what he's doing. And, I just love talking to founders at the end of the day. It's an insane thing to go through where you're going to choose literally the absolute hardest path out there, which is starting your own company and building something out of nothing. Right. And I think that's why I always jive with anybody who wants to go out on their own and start this and try and go for it. John Radvansky, what is up? He says, happy Friday from rainy North Texas. Good to see you, John. Thanks for tuning in as always. So this week, today's Q&A day. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. Today is Q&A day. Obviously, every single Friday is questions, answers for the transportation industry, sales or operations. If you guys got anything, drop them in the chat. I will answer them live on the show. I got a couple of preloaded questions that I got in throughout the week, but obviously if any of you guys are here that want something answered live, I will answer it live on the show. And also there definitely seems to be a lot of interest on doing live coaching calls. Okay. So I don't know if we're going to do them on what day of the week that we're going to do them on. But again, if you have something that you want to have come on it and talk about it, and especially I want to be 100% honest here. If it is a topic that I am not well versed in, I will find somebody who is well versed in that topic and we will come on. I'll lead the conversation, but I will let that subject matter expert answer any of those questions that you might have on, if it's, what you're going through in assessing insurance providers as a trucking company or technology companies and something like that, I'll find a subject matter expert to come on and talk about that, you guys, so we can help you specifically inside of your business. It's just one of those things that, I'm going to be releasing a podcast episode here with with a group of guys, or a couple of guys that I trust who do coaching in the industry, and they're actually in the industry and they're putting really quality information out there. I got them, and then obviously Adam Wingfield on the asset side. He knows the industry better than anybody that I've ever came in contact with, and those are just a couple of people in my network where it's like, whatever you guys are going through in your business. And I just think it's just another way to help give back in any situation, because you guys, building a business is extremely challenging. And I want to continue to push the envelope on putting the right information out there at scale for people by people who have done it. Right. And, I had a really good conversation with a guy yesterday. And again, I know this is a little bit off topic and everything, but at the end of the day, it's important, the power of a network. And, I had a gentleman reach out to me yesterday. We had a really good conversation. He's a multi-time founder in the industry. He's built up, a couple of brokerages, and, and he had said something to me, and, I had appreciated it, and it really aligned with what I'm doing. Is he's like, hey, I've been very fortunate to have mentors and people who are willing to give back to me, and I'm always looking to do that. And, it really resonated with me too, right? Because I've been very fortunate to be able to be around people who have experienced success at very high levels, and them giving back to me in certain things, in conversations and stuff, and really a lot of guidance about how to handle situations. And that's what I'm really looking to do with some of those live coaching calls, is just more of like, hey, let's just put that out there. Whatever you got, come to me. Again, if you want to remain anonymous on something, everything's anonymous, even the Q&A show for today on Friday. And we're going to get to the questions here shortly, but it's one of those things. If you want to remain anonymous, you can remain anonymous. But if you want to go out there and have this, have your stuff, and get live coaching, by all means. I've gotten plenty of people who have actually reached out to me as well, that are subject matter experts in certain area, and said, hey, if you have somebody who wants to come on with this, I'll be more than happy to step in. So it's a cool little avenue for us to take from a podcasting standpoint. Again, like I always say, where else can you guys tune in and watch a guy win freight live on the show, and also deal with things live on the show, provide that live feedback? Sonny Sharma, what is up? He says, good morning and happy Friday. Orange shirt freight freaks coming in over on LinkedIn, you guys. And again, I don't know what is going on that platform, but I've just heard from a lot of people that they can't find my show for some reason anymore. So YouTube is where I'm trying to just push people over towards, because I've only heard positive things about the feed and everything over on YouTube. Stephen Tittle, what is up? Good morning, Q&A day. Yay, he says. All right. So speaking of Q&A, let's get into it here. I got a question that came in. Insurance claims. How do you handle them? I'm dealing with this for the first time, and I feel like I need to be better prepared moving forward. What do you suggest? So fortunately / unfortunately, I've been through this situation a few times, and by a few times, I mean a lot of times. And, I've been able to build up a pretty solid SOP to follow, no matter what, because, there's times when you're informed that there's damages, but then you're not made aware of the extent of the damages for like a couple of weeks. And, there's contracts out there that state that damages don't need to be reported within a certain time frame, and everything else. And I've just always found that it is extremely beneficial to get ahead of it right away. So first and foremost, photos. You need the importance of photos, okay? And I think that from my perspective, we are in the open deck world. And again, I will always use what we do inside of my company as the baseline for the advice that I give in these situations. We move a ton of flatbed, open deck freight, over dimensional freight. We always require photographs of the freight pre-strap / tarp and post-strap / tarp, if there is tarps required or not. it always boils down to protecting our driver and protecting ourselves because, I've been in situations where when things go wrong, ironically, nobody's at fault. It's not the driver's fault. It's not the loader's fault or the onloader's fault. It's nobody's fault in that instance. So again, you need verifiable proof on how things are so we can come to a solution. So photographs are 100% imperative in there. So it preload, post load, everything. I want a ton of photographs of it. When there's actual reported damage, take photographs of the actual damage that is being reported. Number two, get the name of the person who is claiming that there is damages to this load. All right. Not a signature, get their actual name and have them, if when they do sign the BOL, have them print their name as well on there. I always push for that. And then get a reason why, right? Like what is it? And have them listed out on the bills of lading. And I'm saying that, and some of you might be like, well, yeah, no shit. It doesn't always happen that way, right? I have had instances where customers have claimed there was damages and they had photos, but the bills were signed with none of that listed on there and they were signed clean. And then the insurance company for the carrier denied the claim. My insurance denied the claim because there's no verifiable proof that anything happened out there, right? So if there is something that's being done, get the name of the person who's doing that. Again, you got to protect yourself in these instances because insurance companies aren't your friend. Nobody's your friend in this instance. And you got to protect yourself. Okay. Nobody is your friend in these instances because they will look for a reason that you didn't do something just to pin you on it. And, again, take care of that. So I cannot stress this enough. Photographs of the load, photographs of the damage, name of the person, printed on the BOL. Have them handwrite it out there or get their name, first and last name. You write it out there and then list the why. Why are they rejecting this load? Or why are they claiming that there is damages? What does that look like? Have them list that out. And then, from there, what needs to be done in the moment? Now, granted, this happens on food loads. I'm going to use a food load, for example, because I've had this happen where they're like, hey, go dispose of this shipment right away. Okay, so what do? Find a food bank or something like that, bring it over there. Or if they're like, just bring it over to a dump and dispose of it because we don't want this product getting out for whatever reason. Perfect. It's called, there's an acronym that's used in this instance. And just in case you see it, it's a COD, Charlie Oscar David, Certificate of Disposal. Make sure you get a certificate of disposal if you ever trash or donate any of that product for whatever reason. Okay, we need to make sure that that is taken care of. That is a very important step in the process out there. So here's another angle where the shipment tilted or the shrink wrap broke or a pallet dumped over and they rejected the load because of that. There's a very large grocery retailer / retailer out there that was notorious for rejecting loads that I had moved into their facility. And at the end of the day, we fortunately found a restack facility or a cross stock facility that was able to, in some instances, they were able to restack the product and we were able to redeliver it. And then there was other instances where the driver refused to redeliver the load. So we had to take it off. They restacked the pallet. They cross-stocked it. We found a recovery driver to come in and reschedule it. And then we went and redelivered that shipment at that time. But again, there's a lot of situations that can happen when you're dealing with claims, when you're dealing with damaged product. You really just got to get ahead of it. It's an uncomfortable situation at the end of the day, you guys, but you need to come in with a plan here, okay? Because this is where the real separators out there in business really come from. So from my situation, if you're just dealing with the simple, and then here's another thing too, talk to your insurance company, all right? If you don't have a claims department, I was very fortunate to grow up in a company that had an entire claims department. Shout out to my man, Mike Sadak. He taught me a lot of this early on out there, but he was in charge of cargo claims and everything else. And then I've got some other friends in the industry as well who have done a ton of this work as well. And if you don't have that though, if you don't have a claims department, call your insurance agent, right? I would recommend that. Say you're very fortunate, you've never dealt with an insurance issue yet, but you want to be prepared for it. call your insurance agent and ask them, what do you need from us in the event that there is damage to the load or there is a complete loss of freight or whatever that looks like, and then document that, create an SOP. From my experience, a really good start, photos, name of the person, reason why, clearly stated on the BOL. You're going to have a good time. Not really in that situation, but it's going to put you off in a better position overall. So that is what I would recommend in dealing with insurance claims and damaged product. John Radvansky says YouTube is much better. LinkedIn always freezes up and then sends you back to the beginning of the show. All right, move it all over to YouTube, you guys. Just keep on bringing it over there. We'll do that. Next question, ladies and gentlemen, that I got was creating SOPs. I need something to do when handling situations with customers. How do you create an SOP? What do you do? This is one of my favorite topics because, in real life example, business development, right? You're going out there, it's a really long sales cycle. Maybe you're not converting a ton of customers at this time. And then you finally get one. And then you're so excited to move it. And then the very first time that you move a load, there's damage to the product or the truck breaks down overnight. And it's a very hot shipment, has to be there the following morning, everything else. What do you do? I always recommend this. Have these conversations with your customers when the sun is out, as opposed to when you're in the middle of a storm. And I truly think that going to them and asking, right? Because if there's an expedited customer, for example, I would go to them and ask them, hey, in the event that something happens at night or on the weekends, who do you want us to reach out to? Is it you? Is there an after hours contact, a weekend contact? Do we reach out to the receiver? Do we not reach out to the receiver to let them know what's going on? Because I've had both sides of the fence. I've had customers who said, no, do not communicate with the receiver. We will take care of that. That's our customer. All right, cool. I've had some customers who are like, no, please call the receiver. Let them know what's going on in that moment. That is a great help for us. All right. But again, it's up to the individual, okay? The individual customer. So talk to them about that, right? Where do you want us to reach out to? What steps do you want us to follow? What information is required, right? Because if there is a breakdown, do we need receipts out there? Do they need a location? Are they just more along the lines of like, we just want to make sure that the driver's okay? Or is it an absolute necessity that it is a repower instantly? Because if that's the case, ladies and gentlemen, that better be discussed with the carrier who is accepting the load on the front end prior. Because otherwise, I've been in situations before where the carrier's like, you are not taking my trailer under any circumstances at all. But again, if you discuss that stuff on the front end where there is a repower that's required, if there is a breakdown for whatever reason, discuss that on the front end, have that in the carrier contract, and then you know what to do in those instances. And I could honestly go on for probably a very long time about this, but SOPs are crucial, you guys. Knowing what to do is crucial. Fortunately, I've been through a lot of stuff in this industry. All right. I don't talk about any of that, of the who was at fault or the he said, she said that some people love to do, because at the end of the day, I need to come up with a solution for my customer. And that's what you do. And then always after the fact. So say you've never had a late truck before on a production shutdown load and it happened. Okay. After it's done, work with your team. What could you have done differently? It's never, as a broker, I'm talking as a broker, stop blaming the drivers. All right. Don't go to don't tell your customer, oh, it's the driver's fault or it's your fault. All right. It is your fault. Then from there, look at what you could do differently next time. There's a lot of value when things go wrong. There really is. It sucks. I hate it when things happen. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of value when things go wrong because it helps you get better. All right. You can start asking like, hey, this is what happened. Now I know that in the load booking process, i.e., like I told you, when you're creating SOPs, now you know what to ask on the front end so you can avoid a lot of those things. And that is just how I approach a lot of this stuff, right? Because if you're going to handle situations, that's where the real money's made in business long term. Very rarely do people need you when things are easy. All right. People need you when there's stuff going on. And then frankly, if you're a broker, you don't want to make situations escalate into your customer's lap, right? Like when I'm working with customers, they know that I'm going to solve issues for them. I'm going to come through. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to fix that problem for them. All right. And I know that because I have processes that I follow when things happen. When there's damage to the product, I know what to do. When there's a late truck, I know what to do. When there's damage, whenever there is, I know exactly what to do in those moments. So that is what I would recommend is if you are going to create an SOP, talk to your customer in the beginning of the relationship and not when shit is hitting the fan. And then anytime something does happen, always assess it. What can you do differently moving forward? Because the reality is, you guys, is shit is going to happen. Jerome Jones over on YouTube is asking, what is going on in Georgia and Florida? Van freight picking up a little bit. I would assume, Jerome, it has a lot to do with the fact. So I know that there's a flower push around Valentine's Day every single time out of the South like that. And this is the same thing. So you would think, well, I move a van. Why is that affected? Even during produce season, that's shipped on reefers out there. Anything that could go van or reefer, now all the reefer capacity is gone because it's shipping reefer only freight. And anytime that happens, dry van starts to pick up. All the opportunities start to pick up because they're not, the capacity pool has shrunk, and then people start paying a little bit extra. I don't know for a fact if that was the exact event that happened in Georgia and Florida this week because I don't move van freight out of there. But I know that flowers ship out of there around this time, Jerome. And obviously with Valentine's Day, there's a big push to get all that stuff out. That would be my assumption without looking into what could have possibly caused that going on out there, man. But that's good news for you though, dude. If it's picking up out there a little bit, man, that's good news for you. I love it. All right. Third question that I had got. Short-sighted versus long-term in business and customers. How do you look at things in that light? I see that a lot, right? In early on in my career, it's really challenging to look at the long term when it affects your dollars today. And especially, a lot of it is, how are you compensated? Are you compensated to make decisions based on putting more money in your pocket? I.e., I think that's why a lot of people out there, and I can't say a lot of people, I'm trying not to make generalized statement, but there are companies known for withholding accessorials from drivers. There are companies known for not paying layovers, not paying detention, not paying all of that stuff and padding their pockets. And a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that they are compensated by their overall gross margin. So why pay the driver $150 when you could throw that back in your pocket, and then that increases your overall numbers, and then your bonus probably gets paid higher. I say that with confidence because I used to do that early on in my career. Again, you guys, I only know what not to do in this industry. All right. I barely know it. I'm just I've learned from my mistakes. That's where all of this stuff is coming from. That's a very short-sighted move from a lot of people because and then another thing too, there are a lot of quality carriers out there that'll move a load for you. And they might move it at $1,500. And then guess what? The market drops to $1,400. So what do? Most people go out to the load board and try and get it for cheaper every single time, regardless if the carrier is doing a good job or not. And that's a very short-sighted move as well, because the pendulum always swings back in the other direction, and that carrier won't be there for you when it does. When you go back and beg them to take the freight for the $1,500 again, that's a very short-sighted approach to it. I, as a business owner, need revenue 12 months out of the year, not the next 12 seconds. I'm actually looking at a 24-month cycle is the way that I look at a lot of things. I look at, yes, I'm operating in 2024, but I'm looking at where are things trending for 2025 and possibly 2026? What's actually going to go on out there? Because I'm constantly looking down the path. And I know this for a fact. If I overlook the fundamentals today, if I am short-sighted today, even one time, it's going to cost me in the future, whether it's a customer, a carrier, an opportunity, whatever that looks like. And I'm not willing to take that risk in my company. I want my company to be known as the best brokerage to work for from carriers. I want every carrier out there to say that when they deal with my company, it's the best experience that there is out there by a mile. That's what I'm going after, because I know if my carriers are happy, then my customers are happy. And if my customers are happy, my people, my staff, my team are happy because we're making money, right? And if everybody's making money, everybody's generally happy. Now, that's a very pie in the sky statement to make, but it's the truth, right? And if you're treating your drivers with the utmost respect, no matter what, yes, you guys, I've been in this industry for a very long time. I know what happens out there. I've been in that situation. Take the fucking high road. Solve the problem. The problem generally boils down to money in those instances, and move on with your day. All right. There's no reason to go out there and to cause a shitstorm. If you take care of your drivers, all right. If you take care of your drivers will take care of you. And if your drivers take care of you, your customers will become more and more loyal to your operation, because you do the opposite of what everybody does in those moments. I cannot stress this enough. If you become carrier focused as a broker, and no, that's not me sitting here saying anything other than treat them with respect, do what you say you're going to do, right? Schedule appointments, verify load details, do all of that stuff. And if there's an issue, compensate them for that issue. Okay? Plain and simple. When you take care of your carriers will take care of you. And when that happens, your customers will want to give you more and more business. Then we all make more money. That to me is the best piece of advice I could give to any freight broker that is out there. All right. Stop playing the short game. Stop playing, how do I make money off of this situation right now? Take care of your drivers. All right. It's pretty simple. You do that, you'll have more trucks than you know what to do with. And then when you have more trucks than you know what to do with, that means you're going to have more freight than you know what to do with. And then that's when things start to get really fun out there, because the market we are going to embark upon is going to be very, very challenging for some individuals out there who have been railroading drivers time and time again. And like, at the question I got, it was either last week or a couple of weeks back, I think a lot of the quote unquote requirements and verbiage on some of these rate confirmations, ironically, are going to go away when the market flips. And then you're not going to be able to bring that shit back, though. All right. So that's my spiel on those questions for today, you guys. Those questions were dealing with insurance claims. How do you handle them? Creating SOPs with customers to handle situations, and then the short-sighted versus the long-term viewpoint in business / with customers and everything. But that will be it for today, you guys. I got to get back at it. I got some stuff going on. We got some deliveries happening here, and we're going to win some freight today. So at the end of the day, you guys, I appreciate you all so much for your time and for your support out there. And as always, if you guys got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show, you guys. Share it out there to your network, because if you saw value, your network's going to see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.